There have been various conflicts going on for the conquest of this city, and during the time of the wars which are going on for the conquest of city. So there's the famous war took place between the Christians and Sultan Ayubi. He was the person, and this is a picture showing the conflict between the two, and it shows the conquest of the Christians over the city, and the Muslims have been massacred. So this is a conjecture picture of the conquest by the Christians or the Jews fighting against the Muslims, and they are now celebrating their victory. Whatever has been survived from the olden times, there is a mosque which is on this side of the complex, and there is a famous minaret which is still standing. Not, I don't believe it is in the actual form, but it's still known as the Tower of David. उसको मीनारे दाऊदी भी कहते हैं. It's still surviving. It has become a part of this mosque. Now this is the second shape of the same tower, and this is the dome of the Masjid al-Aqsa. And these windows show the clear story of the Masjid al-Aqsa. We'll talk about Masjid al-Aqsa very soon in this lecture. Later, King Hazrat Suleiman built a more substantive temple, the Haikal-e-Suleimani, the Temple of Solomon, completed in 957 BCE. Hazrat Suleiman Temple was the first temple in Jerusalem, or in Bethel Mekdesh, or Bethel Mekdesh. Now, I should ask you a question. What do you understand by the word Haikal? When we say Haikal-e-Suleimani, what is a Haikal? लफ्ज़ तो आपने बहुत सुना होगा हैकल का, और हैकल सुलेमानी भी सुना होगा. But what is the meaning of हैकल सुलेमानी?
सर टेम्पल के लिए यूज हुआ है.
टेम्पल के लिए भी यूज हुआ है, सही है, लेकिन कुछ और चीज़ों के लिए भी यूज हो सकता है. जैसे आप डेली रूटीन लैंग्वेज में भी आप हैकल का लफ्ज़ यूज करते हैं कहीं या नहीं करते?
सर देव हैकल एक वर्ड यूज करते हैं लोग.
देव हैकल, बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने. एक और यूज होता है वर्ड कवि हैकल.
हाँ, कवि हैकल.
कवि हैकल भी है, और कई many has this word has many meanings. अभी बताते हैं आपको इससे मीनिंग है क्या. तो the palace which was built by or built for Hazrat Suleiman, according to some artists, it looked like this. It was so huge in size and so beautiful it was. And some of the painters or the thinkers say it was like this. It was a huge building enclosed in a huge cattle wall, and inside that huge cattle wall there was a gateway, and the second gateway, and the third gateway, and then the Haikal-e-Suleimani, or the palace of Suleiman. So we have 10 minutes left. 10 minutes is a long time, no problem. This is the inside picture of the Haikal-e-Suleimani, one of the rooms decorated like this. So you can imagine how huge was the temple and what kind of decoration was introduced inside this temple. So that is conjectural, but at the same time, doesn't matter if it is conjectural, as a khayali si hai, but nonetheless it reflects the thinking of the historians who talked about the city long time ago, that they conceived this city or this palace as something very huge in size. For example, if you look at the size of this person, and even if it is 5 feet or 6 feet, then the height of the room is so high. It is enormous. And then the carving and the decoration on the wall is so big, and then the seats in this room so big. So that is what they think the Haikal was. It. Then they bring to another picture of the Haikal-e-Suleimani. Haikal-e-Suleimani, the word Haikal has many meanings. Like it is used for a temple, it is used for a physique. जैसे हम कहते हैं ना कवि हैकल, बड़ा मजबूत इंसान हो. It is also used for a statue. It is also used as a habitus, any location, any place, any residence. It is also known as robust, somebody who is very strong. It is also used for a person, and it is also used for a fan. When it's a fan, it is the person who is related to someone who is very strong. And if some very strong person are related to another strong person, they are also known as the fans. For example, today, if there is a person who is politically very strong, तो उनके इर्द गिर्द देखेंगे कि बदमाश टाइप होते हैं, वो बड़े मजबूत होते हैं वो भी. They are known as the fans. Then after the time of Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam and after the time of Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam, the Babylonian came to control this city, and they controlled this city under a very important emperor whose name is recorded in history as Nebuchadnezzar II. Who was the Nebuchadnezzar? You have any idea who was this person and why he is so famous in history?
सर इन्होंने लॉ बनाया था जो बहुत ज्यादा फेमस है. आई थिंक इसकी वजह से ये फेमस है.
Yeah, the law was conceived by Nebuchadnezzar also. It was rather refined by him, but the law was conceived by another person who is known as Hammurabi. Yes, Hammurabi. That's right. That is the person mostly. But Nebuchadnezzar, the second, is mostly known for his achievement, which is known as the Hanging Garden of Babylonia. So he is the architect, not the architect, he is the person responsible for the construction of the Hanging Gardens. Thereafter, Cyrus II of Persia and Darius of Persia and Artaxerxes the first also contributed their share in the construction and the devastation of this country. When I say devastation and construction, obviously when you are fighting for some area, the first thing which happens to that area is the destruction. जब लड़ते लड़ते आप शहर की बहुत सी चीजें बर्बाद कर देते हैं. But then after occupying it, then you start reconstructing it. This has also happened to India when the British came here. Initially, they destroyed quite a few important monuments, but ultimately they started rebuilding because they thought if we have to stay here, we have to police the people of this area, whether they're Hindus or Muslim or Christian or whatever they are. So then they started reconstructing the thing and restoring the monuments to the people to whom they belonged. For example, they restored the mosque to Muslims, they restored the temples to the Hindus and so on. So that is a normal practice of the conquerors, of the people who occupy the land of the other people. So this has been happening in the history. That is a part of a human culture, human psychology. Destruction followed by building, and building followed by destruction again. Now, such an important city, Jerusalem, there is no reference to this city in Quran, although the Quran doesn't mention the name Jerusalem. The hadith assert that it was from Jerusalem that Muhammad ascended to heavens in the night journey, which is known as al-Isra or al-Miraj. So Isra, दो नाम बड़े मशहूर हैं. एक तो ये है कि जो आपके कुरान शरीफ में जो सूरा है, सूरा अल-इसरा, उसके दो नाम हैं. एक नाम तो सूरा अल-इसरा है और दूसरा नाम है सूरा बनी इसराइल. दोनों एक ही नाम, एक ही सूरा के दो नाम हैं. But the most related name is al-Isra, because this relates to the Prophet's ascension, the journey of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to heavens. And Miraj is the translation of Isra, which is in Arabic, also in Persian, and also in Urdu. And Miraj simply means a climax, the height of anything. And since it was the height of the journey, height of the human journey, it is known as Miraj. So Miraj has a very important place in the history of Islam and also in the history of the Prophet Muhammad himself. And when we say history of Prophet Muhammad himself, we call it the Sira. When I say Sira, जिसको आप उर्दू में सीरत और नबी कहते हैं, तो एक्चुअली द वर्ड इज सीरा अगेन, इसको रेफरेंस इस तरह है, इट इज सीन ये रे और रे के बाद हे है जिसके ऊपर दो नुक्ते होते हैं. इसका रेफरेंस शायद पहले भी आ गया. तो उस ए के ऊपर चूंकि दो नुक्ते हैं तो हमने उसको सीरत पढ़ना शुरू कर दिया. एक्चुअली द वर्ड इज सीरा, प्रोनाउंस्ड एज सीरा. बट इफ इट द सेम वर्ड इज कनेक्टेड विद समथिंग व्हिच इज कमिंग आफ्टर दिस, फॉर एग्जांपल इज द वर्ड इज जुमा. जुमा के आखिर में भी जो है उसके ऊपर दो नुक्ते हैं. बट इफ इससे जुमातुल विदा, तो फिर दो नुक्तों तेज की आवाज देते हैं. फिर वो ते की आवाज आती है. अगर वो कनेक्टेड नहीं है तो इसकी आवाज है ही रहती है. तो यही किस्सा है इसका जुमा का. या और बहुत से ऐसे वर्ड हैं जिनको हम बोलते हैं लेकिन हमने मिसकंसीव कर लिया है. फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज अनदर वर्ड व्हिच इज सलात. सलात के आखिर में भी यही है, गोल है 2 नुक्ते वाली, तो उसको भी हमने सलात कहना शुरू कर दिया. एक्चुअल प्रोनाउंसिएशन इज सलाह. And you can think of many other words which are like this, which end with that. जैसे जन्नत का लफ्ज़ जैसे हमने जन्नत बना लिया, the actual word is जन्ना. जन्नत नहीं है बल्कि जन्ना है. And when I say जन्ना, it is also very close to जन्ना. That is the name of the jinns. लेकिन दोनों में फ़र्क है, लिखने में दोनों का फ़र्क है. So this is the beginning of the huge journey, very important part in Islamic history, which is known as the Islam. Then continuing with the story of Jerusalem under Umayyad and under Abbasid dynasty, the city prospered, and the geographers like Ibn Hawkal, देखिए इसका नाम ही Ibn Hawkal है, from Kavi Hawkal से, and al-Istiqri, and they describe that the most fertile province of Palestine. यानी जिस दौर में when the city came under the control of the Muslims, the Umayyads and the Abbasids, then obviously the city began to prosper. And both these writers, historians, that is Ibn Hawkal and Istiqri, state the greatness and the what should say, the उसकी जो बेहतरीन चीज जो element थी city की, prosperity of the city, that has been described by these writers. And then another important writer, who is basically a geographer, al-Maqdisi, devoted many pages to its praises in his most famous book, The Best Divisions in the Knowledge of the Climates. ये उसकी किताब का नाम है. I don't know what is the name in Arabic. Maybe we can find it out. But this is the translation of his book, which he wrote, and he praises the city a lot. And then according to Maqdisi, he has included a map also in his book. And this map is nearly the same as we have been seeing in this map again and again in various diagrams and picture. And this is the area in this diagram, this map. This is the area which is the most famous within Jerusalem. This whole is Jerusalem actually, but this is the most important part of this, which is a platform. And the Masjid al-Aqsa is here, and the Dome of the Rock is here. The whole, and this area, white area, is the place which marks the place of the Haikal Suleimani that stood here.